From Los Angeles, Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison.
I've spent a decade taking a bite out of conspiracy theories, unraveling urban legends, and grappling with worldwide top secret issues.
I've even racked up some of their awards.
Wow, I mean, first of all, what a question.
Journalism is about telling the truth, all while ferreting out the bottom line.
I'm a Harrison Hellraiser.
With me, Cary Harrison, as your guide.
Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison.
Rethinking Heroes, Cary Harrison with you, your new best friend. Welcome. Don't forget, we are live streaming video right now on YouTube. You can go to rethinkingheroes.com, and see the live video on anything with a chip and a signal. You can also sign up for our free newsletter, Our Favorite Price, where you can get a copy of this show, every show, all the shows, plus transcripts, and be part of stuff that we simply cannot say on the radio. Well, today we're going to do some open phones. We're going to talk a bit about the traitor's path. And what I mean by that is turncoating. People turncoat all the time. I'm going to admit this publicly, my ancestor on my mother's side, not only is Abraham Lincoln, my family being from Illinois on that side, my great-great-great-grandmother's first cousin, Abe Lincoln. So I have a liberator, an emancipator on my mother's side, and then I have slavers on my father's side, having come over from a land grant from the King of England in 1640 and did a lot of naughty crap, which I have done my best throughout my life to make up for. All that to say, on my mother's side is also Benedict Arnold. Somebody had to be related to him. So it turns out it gets to be me. Why was he like that? Well, let's just do a quickie. And I'm not defending the guy at all. He was actually fighting with George Washington, fighting on the side of us. Remember, we were still Englishmen. We weren't anything yet. We were all Englishmen. We have this MAGA myth that somehow we were Americans on the Mayflower and that we had nothing to do with England and they were just pestering around. No, we were Englishmen. We were property of the crown, not even nothing. Property of the king. That's it. Disposable. The king said something, you had to do it. That was part of the reason in our Declaration of Independence, which I'm going to get to shortly. So Benedict Arnold was fighting for the good side, but you see, there was no money in Congress because the king owned everything. So having a separate government, one, illegal, two, how do you raise money when nobody can even pay the taxes to the king? So Benedict Arnold wasn't getting paid, but he was getting, let's just say he lived well. I think it was in Philadelphia. He had a giant house. He had servants. He had a wife and kids. He had a lot of debt. And under the King of England, you went to debtor's prison. We don't have that in the United States. In fact, it's specifically in our Constitution, no debtor's prison, which is why we can declare bankruptcy and do stuff that nobody else in the world can, because you went to debtor's prison under the king. So Benedict Arnold had huge bills to pay, and we couldn't pay him. We, the early us of it all. So he went and switched over because he had to cover this debt so he wouldn't go to prison, and ended up fighting for the British. A bad move, a historically horrible move. Nobody likes it. And he's just been branded as the total a-hole that ever lived, Benedict Arnold. So traitors do things sometimes out of necessity. And then there's the kind that are fluffers, and they offend me deeply. There's a gay guy who I know back. I had a different show, a couple of shows before this one. It was called Reality Check Live. And we did it in the afternoons. And we did a big launch party a few years ago and had a great red carpet and really talented people helping out. Just so lucky. It was so much fun. And on the red carpet was the last ever live appearance of Nichelle Nichols, Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek. And she was there. And there was a guy that showed up who's a friend of mine. And he was in basically every shot on the red carpet, which is fine. He then becomes an RFK supporter. This is public. It's all over Instagram. It's all over Facebook. And saying that Bobby Kennedy is in the business of I don't know what, but like this total big LGBT hero. And I am not aware of that, by the way. And it ain't exactly true. And he did an interview with Bobby Kennedy called Kennedy Curious, ? To me, that's pushing it. All that to say, Kennedy, who jumps over and is now fluffing Donald Trump, this guy is fluffing Kennedy. Kennedy is now fluffing Trump, pretending Trump is the unity party. Unity, when just yesterday he said there's going to be the largest deportation in all of American history. Boy, that's the Fuhrer speaking, isn't it? The unity party. Unity for who? Well, we know who. And so I want to know, and we're going to get to this a little later, I want to talk about turncoats and traitors. What is the motivation on that? And why does a gay guy, he goes for RFK because it was Joe Biden before, and Joe Biden is neutral and dull and sleepy Joe and whatever, pleasant, nice, but does not have the sparkle that we're now seeing in the opposition party for the first time. So I'm going to be a little cheeky today because people are actually like bouncing and they're alive and their dendrites are firing and their synapses and they feel alive again. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about the traitor's path. And people often ask, so how does it happen, right? How do ordinary people with ordinary lives become traitors to their own kind? How do they join the ranks of fascist oppressors and willingly participate in the destruction of their own communities? Well, the answer lies in the complexities of human nature. See, we all have fears, we all have desires, we all have motivations that drive us, and fascist ideologies prey on those vulnerabilities, exploiting them to turn us against each other. Now, for some reason, it's the promise of security, of stability in a chaotic world. In fact, they often make the world chaotic when it was not before. That's the trick. Then the rest of us become seduced by the simplicity of fascist rhetoric and the clear-cut answers to complex problems. And people get drawn to the sense of belonging, of being part of something greater than themselves, making America great again. Like in the date 1950, what? Blacks couldn't vote. Women were in the kitchen. Communists were being chased. If you were called a communist in Hollywood, you never would work again. When was America great that time? For some reason, no date is ever given. It's just fantasy time. But in doing that, regular people sacrifice their individuality, their autonomy, their freedom. We saw this after 9/11, didn't we? When John Ashcroft gave us the Patriot Act, took away the Fourth Amendment, took away the 11th Amendment, wiped this out, wiped that out, warrantless searches, NSA tapping all your calls, everything is wide open. We're back to the King of England. Unbelievable. We all gave it up. We all flipped over. We all just said, please, I want to grow up and have fewer freedoms than I did when I was born. I want my children and grandchildren to have even fewer freedoms than I ever did. That is not what America is supposed to be about, but that's what fear and terror do to people. Others, motivated by a desire for power, we know who that is, for control, we know who that is, or for keeping their ass out of prison. We know who that is. Regular people see fascist politics, or well, actually those people. And there's a cabal now, whether it's the Koch brothers, that's Koch. Let's not confuse the Atlanta, Georgia beverage company, but the Koch brothers, or Koch brothers singular now, and the Heritage Foundation, the 900-page Project 2025 report, they see fascist politics as a mean to an end, as a way to climb the ranks. Are they going to suffer under that? Hell no. They have the power. They see it as a way to gain influence and wealth. So they're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their goals, even if it means betraying their own people. Again, people fluffing the wrong side just so they can make money, or they think they'll be the last one into the oven, the last one into the camps. And if you read Project 2025, if you're a person that checks a box called other, you are screwed. If you have ever, even one time in your life, downloaded a naughty picture that could be misconstrued as pornography, you are in the slammer too, under Project 2025. You are not safe. If your last name ends with a vowel, you could get deported. This is real. Then there's those who are driven by a sense of resentment. These might be the MAGA followers. These might be like my friend, the fluffer. They have a sense of resentment, of anger. They're not big enough. They're not popular enough. They're not being loved enough. They feel marginalized. They feel oppressed. And fascist politics offer a way to lash out, offers a way to take back control. But in doing so, these people become the very thing they once despised. Now, how many philosophers have talked about when you chase the dragon long enough, you become the dragon? Whether it was Fred Nietzsche, whether it was Plato. But what about those who are simply seduced by the ideology, right? Who genuinely believe, this is the part that you and I cannot wrap our heads around. People who genuinely, good people, there's good people on both sides. People who genuinely believe in the twisted rhetoric, in the false promises of a better tomorrow. And we know what that means because there's parentheticals in there. This has to happen to have that better tomorrow. And none of it is in the interest and law of live humans. They don't see the harm they cause, and they don't see the lives they ruin. The payoff for traitors is fleeting. It's a temporary high of power, of control, but the cost is eternal, a legacy of shame, of betrayal. And for what? So they can stand alongside the oppressors, so they can wear the badge of fascism with pride? No. The true motivation is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of being left behind. Fascist politics prey on that fear. It exploits it. It uses it to control. But we're not going to let fear win. Not today, not here, not now. We're going to wake each other up. We're going to stand against the traitors, against the fascists, against the fight for a world where empathy and compassion and humanity reign supreme. We have to understand that a traitor's path it's not an easy one. It's a journey of self-deception, of rationalization, of justification. It's a journey that can be stopped, though. It can be reversed. And we're starting to see that happen for the first time in America in 20 years. So let's reach out to those who are vulnerable, who are susceptible to fascist ideologies. Remember, this country, since about 1900, on purpose, has had its educational system eroded. Rockefeller famously published a white paper on how we have to get rid of Greek and liberal arts and the rest of it from public schools because people start to question their plight. And instead, we want people to just, check into work, punch in, do the thing, take what you're given, live in a company town, go home, make more children, pay more taxes. We do not want them considering their plight or considering what a better life might look like. So you and I have to offer them a different narrative, a different vision for people who no longer have a global education or a way to have critical thinking. We have to give them a different vision of the future. We have to show them that there's a better way, a way of compassion, of empathy, of humanity. Because the traitor's path, it is not inevitable. We can choose, and you and I already have, a different way. We have chosen to stand together. We have chosen to fight for a world that's just, equitable, and free. Now I'm going to give you a little treat because I love analogies. Analogies work great. By the way, Cary Harrison with you. This is Rethinking Heroes, rethinkingheroes.com. This is really, I'm speaking on behalf of many, 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 many veterans here who went out, put their lives on the line, came back for what I was just talking about. And that they're being thrown under the bus is just so revolting. They're barely words. What one of the presidential candidates said the other day at Arlington Cemetery was beyond the pale. Not only using it as a photo op, illegal, by the way, but just using it and throwing real heroes under the bus for the purpose of self-aggrandizement. So you already know about it. You've already thought about it. You already have your thing about it. But I want to, because my family, maybe yours too, lots of people, sooner or later, we're all connected in this country. My family helped write the Declaration of Independence and also helped frame the Constitution, signatories, all of them. These were the listed charges against King George in 1776. Now, the word he refers to the king. So in the Declaration of Independence, whenever you hear the word he, that's referring to the king. So we can simply swap out he with today's current corporate-controlled and influenced White House, the Congress, the Senate, the fully compromised Supreme Court, abetted by the largest military-industrial complex the world has ever known, potentially to be emboldened by the 900-page Project 2025 under a carnival barker with no particular political allegiance, but knows how to stir the mob mentality. So let's replace he with our current players. Declaration of Independence, 1776. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has made judges dependent on his will alone. Oh my. Sorry for the parenthetical, but oh my. He has made judges dependent on his will alone. Remember the judges today, they get death threats if they don't go after dear leader and support him, even make new laws that are unconstitutional, saying he could do whatever he wants, even if it's illegal. Even, it doesn't matter what it is, so long as it's an official act. Wow. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Bingo. King George, today's politicians. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. Think 500,000 strong post 9/11 Homeland Security and the current 30,000 strong plainclothes division known as Northcom, based in Cheyenne Mountain facility. And remember the likable Obama? Remember his presidential fiat to be able to assassinate any American citizen so long as that citizen is off U.S. soil and is felt by the president to be a terrorist. Remember, we simply swap out he, the King of England, from back when the Declaration of Independence was written, with today's current corporate-controlled and influenced White House, its Congress, its Senate, and its compromised Supreme Court. He has affected to render the military independent and superior to the civil power. For protecting the military by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. Well, the Supreme Court has just ruled that if it's an official act, it is now okay. Again, King George for cutting off trade with other parts of the world. Or not King George, this government today. For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretend offenses. Remember Guantanamo? Remember extraordinary renditions? Still happening. For abolishing the free system of English law. Excuse me. I'm going to have a swig of coffee because I can. That's the beauty of live radio and streaming video, which you could be watching if you go to rethinkingheroes.com. Okay, where was I? For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government so as to render it an example for absolute rule into these colonies, like maybe Afghanistan or Iraq or Libya. Some would argue now Israel. So here's the Bill of Rights being formed right in the middle, in the belly button of the Declaration of Independence. Quote, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, maybe the law that has been the law of the land for half a century, where women actually own their own bodies. Yeah. Taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. Project 2025 will dismantle all government institutions, destroy them all. Everything will fall under the White House for one president to make decisions how things go. This is so relevant. Written in 1776, applies 100% today. Remember, we're simply swapping out he, the King of England, King George III, from back when the Declaration of Independence was written, with today's political climate. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, and destroyed the lives of our people. You can imagine rivers, polluted rivers, toxic food supplies filled with chemicals and GMOs, tens of thousands of unhoused, dishoused, and formerly known as homeless people living in their own feculence on the sidewalks of Los Angeles. It seems impossible. It is impossible to European eyes. but it is the way it is done here and normalized. Or where trillions are spent overseas to occupy and colonize different peoples and their minerals in the name of national security. And while it is in some way, it is also whole cloth plundering and theft. Swapping out once again with today's corporate controlled and influenced White House, its Congress, Senate, and compromised Supreme Court. Abetted by the largest military industrial complex, is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with the circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. Wow. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Ooh, I'm going to say that again. Quote, a prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Was this Declaration of Independence time-stamped, only to be relevant in 1776? It's true today as it was then. So it's time to take back the country, not like the MAGA people, but enjoy the new fire in the belly of millions of people seeing hope and a new future, feeling democracy, the splash of the tiny little lapping waves of democracy once again reaching their feet when it looked like the tide had gone out so far. That's why we're here doing Rethinking Heroes. This is a radio show that dares to challenge the status quo, but we're not doing it alone. It's your voice, it's your thoughts, it's your participation. And that's why I'm calling on you to join the conversation. I'm not asking for a penny here, by the way. I'm asking you to pick up the phone and reclaim the media as a force for good. For too long, the media has been controlled by the powerful. It's been used to manipulate and deceive. But you and I believe in a different future, one where the media is a tool for enlightenment, for satire, for social commentary. We believe in a future where the media is under our control, not the control of corporate interests or political elites. And by calling in, by participating in the show, you're not just sharing your opinions, you're taking a stand. You're saying that you refuse to be passive consumers of information and that you demand to be heard and that you want to be part of a movement that's redefining the media landscape. This is not just a radio show. Whatever radio is now competing with 1 billion podcasts everywhere. It's live streaming video. It renders into an audiobook on Audible. It's out there everywhere. It's not just that. It's a device of exposing, lampooning, and putting a spotlight on the gutter snipes who seek to control us. You and I are together creating a bright beacon of hope. We're shining a light on the darkest corners of our society. It's a call to action, and I'm inspiring you to get involved, to make a difference, and to take back what's rightfully yours. I read you the Declaration of Independence earlier. It is rightfully yours. We did get our independence from the king, and there's nothing in our Constitution that allows dukes and knights and princes, any of that crap. There's nothing, zero. It is supposed to be equal. And there are instruments out there and there are people running for political office that will take everything away. So don't just listen, participate. I want you to call in. I want you to share your thoughts. I want you to join the conversation. Together, we're going to create a media future that's truly under our control, a future where the airwaves are filled, actually not filled. They're not filled right now, but more filled with enlightened entertainment, not just empty noise, because the future of media is in our hands. And let's make that future worth fighting for our kids, our grandkids, and whatever generations may be next. As you know, I was in Switzerland this summer teaching 10 to 14-year-olds basic journalism, basic broadcasting technique, how to find lies, how to do research. We're going to talk a little bit more about that because you are the ones that inspired me to do that. So I'm going to have you call in now, the Rethinking Heroes hotline at 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. And while you're calling in, I'm going to play you a calling in song called I Want to Be a Republican by the great Kinsey Sicks, S-I-C-K-S. If it doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. At the end of that, we're going to have a short break. Come back, take your calls at 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. And now here it is. I want to be a Republican.
I wanna be a Republican. I'm tired of doing what I should. Wanna do what I can. Grab as much as I can. Keep it all for me. Cause life is a party, and the grand old party is a party where I wanna be.
Lower taxes are God's plan. Global warming helps my tan. Give a gun to every man to protect us from non-Aryans. When you know you're better than all those non-Americans, there's no need to join the Klan. Just become Republican. I'm tired of thinking about you when it's all about me. With values strong, they fight the obscene. Now I found a place where I am embraced for being selfish and mean. Like things as they used to be. Miss the old Confederacy. Government should let us be, but not your body. Tired of diversity. Defund universities. Set the corporations free. Come and join the GOP. God bless America. Do blend as I love. Do make her whiter, blue-eyed. To the right with 1,000 points of light from above. I wanna be a Republican. I wanna be a Republican.
I wanna be a Republican. I'm tired of doing what I should. Wanna do what I can. Grab as much as I can. Keep it all for me. Cause life is a party, and the grand old party is a party where I wanna be.
Lower taxes are God's plan. Global warming helps my tan. Give a gun to every man to protect us from non-Aryans. When you know you're better than all those non-Americans, there's no need to join the Klan. Just become Republican. I'm tired of thinking about you when it's all about me. With values strong, they fight the obscene. Now I found a place where I am embraced for being selfish and mean. Like things as they used to be. Miss the old Confederacy. Government should let us be, but not your body. Tired of diversity. Defund universities. Set the corporations free. Come and join the GOP. God bless America. Do blend as I love. Do make her whiter, blue-eyed. To the right with 1,000 points of light from above. I wanna be a Republican. I wanna be a Republican.
I wanna be a Republican. I'm tired
are in complete control. We are Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison. RethinkingHeroes.com.
It is Rethinking Heroes, RethinkingHeroes.com. Cary Harrison with you. Don't forget, you can get our free newsletter at RethinkingHeroes.com. You can also catch a live video stream of this simply by going to my YouTube channel. Just Google Cary Harrison, C-A-R-Y, YouTube. Or I think it's at Cary Harrison, something that like totally simple. We're also live streaming on basically everything with a chip and a signal, so everything is archived. And when you do get our free newsletter, you're going to get copies of all the old shows, transcripts, and a bunch of other cool stuff. We're going to go to the phones in just a second at 818-985-KPFK. I want to talk about turncoats, traitors you know, people that have jumped to whatever the other side is and why they have told you they've done it. Because I know they haven't just done it. You sit there and go dope-de-dope and go back to Netflix. You want to know, what do you think is happening? Why would someone, given what they know, let's just pick, I mean, Kamala is still fresh out of the can. A lot of us know her personally here in LA. But let's just take Donald Trump. She's never even met him. With everything we know, with all the crimes, the pussy grabbing, whatever it is, horrible stuff. Taking away rights, abolishing Project 2025, and yet people are going for him. Who are those people, and what are they telling you? What is that? Let's get down to it. 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735 are your Harrison hotlines. Pick up the phone, call in. I want to get your assessment, your summation. Help me understand what it is you think is going on and what it is you're hearing. Have a little demo that we're going to play here. We put this together. As you know, we got together with a bunch of kids over the summer, training and teaching, building a network to have 14-year-olds talk about the world as they see it from where they are standing. I got a Russian kid and a Ukrainian kid to stand next to each other and interview each other. And in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to play that to you because it is shocking. Shocking. Well, my dad says this. Well, my dad says this. What do you think of Vladimir Putin? Well, I think, yeah, you get to hear it unfiltered through the prism of young eyes. So we'll be looking at that in just a moment. Let's go now to, I'm going to maybe pronounce it correctly. I want to say Weme in Costa Mesa. You're on Rethinking Heroes.
No, it's Weme, and I want to talk about the we solution. Basically, it's the globalization of the planet. We need to eliminate all division by race, religion, citizenship, economic status, political belief, sexual preference, gender labels, and age differences. It's based on the concept involving from the us, which is it creates all this division, to we, which is the whole earth. This is the reuniting of the whole planet, and we have the ecology. We have to reduce, reuse, and recycle to protect our natural resources, which belong to all of us. We have to have a world economy with one monetary system called Munwe, where everyone gets equal amounts of money. It's like a digital form, and everybody gets 10 million Munwees at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year, everybody goes back to zero, and we start again the next year, so no one can accumulate huge amounts of Munwe. Also, we want the Republic of Earth, the We United Nations. We're going to have a We Fund to provide relief, and we're going to have a new leader called We Again, and it's going to be based on the concept that we we have an are we instead of an army, and our only enemies are disease and poverty and depression. And finally, we have to have the the Republic of Earth. We have the We Legion of Love, and we get rid of all these silly religions that are killing. My God's better than your God. All these terrible things that are happening in the name of religion. And we have the We Legion of Love, and everyone's a We member. And we have a We Birth, Revival, and a We Surrection of the We All Messiah. And we know who the Messiah is. It's we as us, because we are the
ones.
Right.
I appreciate it. It's very layered. It's fantastic, and I appreciate it. I'm trying to track all of it, and I get it, and I vote yes. Next time, I hope you'll let us know how you think we can get there. I really appreciate that. That opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. I am not personally in favor of abolishing religion. That's up to you. You can have it, you cannot have it, and it is enshrined in our Constitution. My ancestors helped write it. We did it because the King of England, who still is the Pope, he's the head of the church. Catholics, they look to Rome. British look to King Charles and Queen Camilla. King Charles is the Pope. Camilla is Mrs. Pope. Yes, it's a joke, but it's real. It's a real joke. But you have your spiritual essence. I'm not looking to take anything away. I'm looking to add. The key is, how do you get away with it in today's world? Let's go next to Danny in Sun Valley. You're on Rethinking Heroes. Hello, Danny.
We don't go to Home Depot without getting a receipt. Demand a receipt. Demand paper. Get rid of these computerized systems. We have to have a trail. Without that, we have nothing, period. And back humanity. Keep it simple. That's what it all comes down to. Backing humanity. That's who needs to be backed, not parties, humanity. It's either one side or the other. You either want the best for humanity or you don't. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. I notice a kind of constipation that we all have. We have so few outlets anymore where anybody can hear what we think, what our opinion is, our analysis, how we cogitate, that when we get on, we do these. And I did a long rant, didn't I? I'm the same way. I'm so pent up that I just have to blow it out. And it sounds like we all do the same thing. It's like, I've got 18 seconds to get out everything important. So just know it's okay here. We're going to do more of this stuff. We're going to get it out. We're going to get back into a nice free motion once again that has been robbed from us, frankly, for the last 20 years, as the multiple radio stations, 1,600 to 2,000 of them, all became Clear Channel, then they became iHeart, then they became Cumulus, owned by 3 or 4 companies now. All the open voices wiped out. The Fairness Doctrine gone in 1990 under George Bush I. Then Bill Clinton shockingly put this last final nail in it. And, Rush Limbaugh was then legally released onto 900 stations overnight. Dr. Laura, Glenn Beck, and just blew every alternative voice out. So people are frustrated. And we do want to get it out fast. But just know you are welcome here. The water is warm. 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Let's go to Elaine in Los Angeles. You're on Rethinking Heroes.
Greetings and thank you. I am calling because I'm interested in your opinion in terms of, with the Western powers controlling media, is that why media won't step up and talk about the fact that the genocide of the Palestinians is so that Israel can become a satellite for the Western powers, situated in the middle of the Arab world, plus the proximity from here to there is quite a distance, and therefore, if they're situated in Israel, they can have closer access to China, which I don't know why, but they keep saying is a threat. Well, I can imagine, with capitalism and what have you. But also, the African countries want independence. This post-colonialism, they're tired of the exploitation. And that would put them in close proximity so they could have access to address those issues. I never hear anyone talk about it's about land. And Malcolm X said war is about land. And we saw genocide when they won the Americas. And now we're seeing genocide because they want Palestinian land.
Well, let me jump on that, Elaine. And what an excellent question. And thank you. It's like a 2-part question. So I'm going to do a quickie. Then we're going to go to Don in Santa Monica, Joel in Hesperia, and others at 818-985-KPFK. Your first one was about the media. And it's true. It is controlled by several corporations. And the several corporations that own all the media make money off the advertising. And so they want to make sure that whatever advertiser is on there supports whatever messaging is given. For some reason, advertisers are not afraid of being cruel and punishing and brutal in the ideology toward the audience. But as soon as you want to offer free education and a glass of fresh milk, it's just harder to sell is what it is. It's not that advertisers are allergic. It's that salespeople. Yes, it's true. When I was at KTLK, AM 1150, owned by Clear Channel, when I was doing Air America at night, the Clear Channel sales team did not know how to sell progressive talk. Honest to God. I had to go in there. I don't sell media. I had to go in there and teach them how to sell progressive talk. They had no idea. They knew how to sell Limbaugh. They knew how to sell Glenn Beck, Dr. Laura, who are et al., all these people, but they had no idea how to sell cool stuff because it's not mean. You can't trick people into it. It's just common sense. So that's part of it too. Take a look at Anderson Cooper after the famous Joe Biden Donald Trump debate a couple of months ago before Biden stepped down. Kamala Harris made her really first public appearance after that. And Anderson Cooper with CNN had her on just to get her response to her boss's debate technique. And he attacked her. I mean, he ripped her apart. It was clearly serious bullying. Why? It's not that he has anything against her. He's neutral. His network, Time Warner, Warner Brothers, all of it, considered what they had just seen and thought absolutely 100% Trump is in. He's going to be the next president. We want to survive. We know what Trump has said about CNN over and over again, and we are going to get dismantled fast. Plus, Trump will run and own the FCC. And some CNN stations are actually over the air. And even though cable is not regulated by the FCC, there are lots of ways to screw with people's business model. We know it. So Anderson Cooper became attack dog. Now he's not attack dog because now she looks like she's ahead. So it's a game, that part of the media. Okay, part two, I'm going to go really fast because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 calls to get to here. So the full board of calls right now. As far as Palestine, as far as Israel, there is no easy answer. I was talking to a State Department guy, now retired. There is a black ops branch of the government of accountants, believe it or not. They go out with a giant checkbook, actually pallets of cash on airplanes, and they create the new cities that will occupy troops next. What does that mean? They're given budgets of billions. They'll go, let's say we're going to go to Turkey somewhere. We have bases there, and we want to establish a bigger footprint. Well, all those people have to live somewhere, and they live somewhere that hasn't yet been built. That means every screw has to be bought from a vendor in the United States, because all of it has to come from the United States. Every bottle of vodka, every cork, every glass, every ice cube, every wire, every nut, bolt, every piece of drywall, you're getting the point. Billions of dollars. Then there's the food. You have to imagine all the food it's going to take for maybe 2 years. It goes on and on. It's business. He said it is business, 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 and it is fungible. It makes a lot of money having skirmishes, which is why we have at least 30 going on. What's on the Gaza Strip that anyone cares about? You having smartly mentioned land acquisition. Well, we know from Charlotte Dennett, the daughter of the man, one of the first ever CIA agents. He was a big deal. The daughter has sued Freedom of Information Act. We presented her here on Rethinking Heroes. She has the original map from 1948, 1947, when Israel was first established in Palestine. It was all Palestine. Then, boom, it's Israel within there. And there were oil maps. And originally there were oil pipelines that were supposed to go through Haifa. They were supposed to go through maybe Saudi Arabia. All of these countries were becoming partners of ours at the time. Off the Gaza Strip is about $6 to $7 billion of untapped oil as we speak. About 10 years ago, the British cut a deal with the Palestinians and said, we're going to tap that oil. probably pipe it through BP. Why not? No oil spill, we promise. And then Israel bombed that very area. So it became defunct. But it's there. That may be the end of the spoils. Why? Because if that oil finally gets pumped from the Middle East, from the Gaza Marine off the Gaza Strip, back to Europe, Western Europe will no longer have to buy their oil from Vladimir Putin. So that's the current State Department. The Trump State Department, can't really quite say. Don't know. All right, let's go to Joel in Hesperia. Joel, thank you for being patient. Welcome to Rethinking Heroes.
Yeah, I just want to know if you're the guy that picked out that Republican song that was played.
Yes.
You are. You picked that song?
I did. I didn't sing it, but I picked it.
I formed an opinion on you the other day. I think you're a Momo, sir.
A what?
A Momo.
I guess you're going to have to give us an explanation of that acronym because we're not all up to speed on your linguistic skills here, especially me.
Well, it's a descriptory word which describes a type of person. And every day I listen to your intro to your show, it seems like you're egging people on like a Momo.
I really don't know what you're talking about. I am egging people on by giving them the history of their own country, something you haven't chosen yet to do. All you're doing is ad hominem attacks and insults, but you haven't once given any evidence of anything at all. No historical references, no insights, no observations, no real critical thinking, just an opinion, which I wouldn't disabuse you of that. You're welcome to have it, but I still don't know what a Momo is, so I want to thank you for your call. That opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK. We're going to go to a quick break. When we return, we're going to talk to Mark. We're going to talk to James. We're going to talk to everybody else online, and we're going to get your thoughts on the future of this country and what we can do about it.
Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison. RethinkingHeroes.com.
Hi, I'm Sergio Melnichenko with the Global Village. Join me Fridays.
We are in complete control. We are Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison. RethinkingHeroes.com.
And it is Rethinking Heroes, RethinkingHeroes.com. Don't forget, you can catch the live streaming video on anything with a chip and a signal. Easiest way is probably YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel. Just Google Cary Harrison YouTube. That's Cary. You can also get our free newsletter at RethinkingHeroes.com, where we'll have archives of all the different shows, your phone calls, and transcripts of them so that we can enjoy, well, all of them. And I like all of them, every single one of them, 100%, that's for sure. Let's go next to Don in Santa Monica. You're on Rethinking Heroes.
Oh, hi, Cary. My particular burden is that the evangelical world, that's my background, my calling and all that. You had mentioned Project 2025, and I've been thinking about this, and I think what this represents in this grand struggle is the kind of a reemergence of the debate between the founding fathers and the Tories going way back to the beginning of the country. because the Tories kind of represented this attachment to the feudalistic world, to monarchy, and all that sort of thing. Whereas the founding fathers were kind of, groping with new ideas and trying to bring us into the modern democratic world. Well, what happened with the first reemergence of the Tories after the Revolution was the Southern plantation system, which was oligarchic and plutocratic and anti-democratic because it was controlled by these plantation owners. And the Republican parties represented the government of, by, and for the people, the democratic impulse, the progressive party at the time. But by the 1870s, the robber barons kind of bought them up. And ever since then, there's been a slow morphing away from the founding fathers' parameters into a kind of neo-Tory party now, to where they want to go back apparently to feudalism and to medieval times. And I find it very interesting. A lot of these thought leaders within Project 2025 are radical Catholics, because Catholicism is kind of like a medieval version of Christianity, and it tied in with monarchy. And so I think that's the big picture. We probably should, I think, focus on that and try to sell that to the public, because, that's what the battle's really about. Is that monumental right now with Trump. He represents neo-Toryism to me.
Well put, James.
Hello?
Excellent call. I thank you so much. That was great. And it opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Yeah. How do you talk to people about Project 2025? Now, you can hear how smart the people who listen are, like really deep, intelligent, articulate, but you're talking to people who may not be that way. They may just literally be limbic, reptilian brained. I don't mean that the way Donald Trump would call someone a reptile brain, where there's lizard people. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the limbic system of the brain. It's very primal. Eat, poop, sleep, reproduce. And they're the people that are most susceptible to this, because they're told that the world is, collapse is imminent. What little they have is going to be stolen away from them by the boogeyman, which cannot be defined, except that we're going to deport all the rest of them, et cetera, et cetera. So they're susceptible to this stuff. How do we talk to them? It's hard to talk in their own terms because they don't have terms. So we have to admit that too. That's why I love talking about this, because we're totally getting close. Let's finish up with Jen in LA. Jen, you're on Rethinking Heroes. Hey, Jen. I think you are on line 6. All right. Okay, let's try a different one. We've got a full board here. Let's go to Mark in Pasadena. You're on Rethinking Heroes.
Hey, my friend, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, my friend.
So you mentioned something earlier in your broadcast when you were talking about why people are going to Trump. And what I find, I work with a lot of fathers, Latino and Black fathers, and those who are gravitating towards Trump, it's for two reasons that I'm sensing. One, they confuse his irresponsible language as being strong masculinity, or they're attached to a specific issue, like protecting the Second Amendment, or getting rid of illegals, or protecting the country, but they miss everything else. They just black it out. So when my conversations with them, I try to go to something like the interests of their children. And I'll break down, well, do you think Trump is going to protect your children if there is less support for public schools, or if there is less safety nets in the community? And then they begin to think and do a little research. But I just think too many of them just don't listen to shows like yours, and they really have this confused idea that Trump is a strong man.
Let me ask you a question, because I love what you're saying here, Mark. You're totally unraveling and shaving the hairy mastodon in the middle of the living room here. Is there not a particular irony that Trump is offering safety when I don't know one father on any side of the equation that would allow his 14-year-old daughter alone in a motel room with Donald Trump for more than 4 hours?
That's a wonderful a statement, and you're absolutely right. There's out of all the fathers I can think about, not one would do that. Not one.
Not one. I don't care who you are. It's not going to happen. So are you going to put the country in a motel room with that guy for more than 4 hours? If you think about that, it's kind of obvious. So maybe these are some of the ways we have to talk to people, like wild analogies, but they're not incorrect.
You know what? I'm going to use that.
Do it, and let me know how it turns out.
I'm going to use that. I will. Thank you, my friend.
All right, my friend. Have a great day. Thank you so much. I think we are like right up at the finish line here. Maybe we can squeeze in one more. Probably not. Okay. Let's do Jen. Jen, you're going to have about 90 seconds. You're on Rethinking Heroes.
Okay. I wanted to say I appreciate you talking about 2025 and getting into the details. I wish you could reach out to a wider audience. And I also think you're a hero, opposite of what that idiot said. And I frankly thought that was a really cool song. I started laughing, but I said maybe I can sing with them. They really put it together, didn't they?
They are great.
I think so. Anyway, I hope you would try to reach out and get a wider audience, and then really cover those points on. It just seems like our freedoms are being snatched away by certain people, and I understand what you're saying. They seem to lack, educational sense and common sense and the things that help us all to be stronger individuals, that can work together. I just wish, but in LA, I have to say that I think it's a bunch of divided groups. Every group, people seem to want to fight only for their group, their ethnic group, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm bothered about that. You know how they used to talk about the melting pot? But I don't feel we're melting at all. I think people are very individual. They're coming here and they're kind of fighting only for their group. But we're Americans, and you need to be able to fight for all people. I think that everything people have done out of the civil rights movement has helped everyone in America. And I think we need to continue to have those types of leaders who will really fight for the people and who stand up for the people. My mom was one of those kind of people. You wouldn't know who she is, I don't think, but
Jen, thank you. I'm so sorry we're up against the clock, but I'm really glad we got your call in. I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for calling in, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Take care now.
Thanks, you too. We're down to the end here. In the Declaration of Independence, if you were listening earlier, and you can get the archive of this by getting our free newsletter at rethinkingheroes.com, one of the central complaints against the King of England was not enough immigration. It's in our Constitution. It's the law. We must have immigration. So all that stuff is a lie. It's in the Constitution. Yep. Melting pot, baby. That's America. Cary Harrison with you. This is Rethinking Heroes, rethinkingheroes.com. Loved today. We'll do it again next week. And I do hope you'll visit in between, get the newsletter. Happy to communicate with everyone, and really love having you as my friends and being welcome in your eardrums, through your eardrums, in that organ of gray goo, that organ of truth between your ears that we all have called a brain, and yours is working. So I salute you. Cary Harrison with you. This is Rethinking Heroes.
Listen while it's still legal. Rethinking Heroes with Cary Harrison.